Welcome to the SolidCAM University channel. This video's topic is engraving using an image file. So oftentimes when you're engraving, you'll be engraving off of an image file, either a bitmap, a JPEG, whichever sort of photo or image file you receive from your customers, or your own company logo. You want to convert that into geometry that you can use for engraving or machining. And we're going to cover that in this video. So essentially inside SolidWorks, you'll want to make a new part. So let's say we just go to Part, and we're going to open a sketch on whichever plane we want. In this case, let's just go with the top plane. So inside of a sketch, you can go to Tools, Sketch Tools, Sketch Picture, and then browse for the picture we're looking for. So in this case, we're going to do, let's say, the flag of Canada. Okay, so as soon as you import an image, you'll see on the left side here, you've got the location of the reference point. In this case, by default, I have it set to x0, y0. The angle from the x-axis is set to 0, and then the size that the image has imported in. Now, depending on the type of image you've loaded in, this size might be unrealistic. This might be related to just the number of pixels. However SolidWorks translates that, you're going to overwrite that, essentially. So let's say we just want to machine this to be a 10-inch wide image. So under the, or actually 10-inch in height. So in the height, I put 10, and then automatically changes the width to match that. So it maintains that ratio. So centered at 0, 0, I have a 10-inch tall flag. So we'll click the green check mark. You'll see that this sketch is now a regular SolidWorks sketch. It just happens to be on top of an image. And since I scaled it, I can now freely sketch on top of that to get what I'm looking for. So now let's say, for instance, if I wanted to go right into sketching, I could. But my recommendation is keep the image on this sketch, and we'll just exit out of here. And then we'll go and open up another sketch, again on the top plane. And then that way I can have my image separate from my sketch. That way I can do things like I can hide the image later and just look at my sketch. But you'll see the background is essentially still the image, so I can freely sketch on top of that. So let's say, for instance, I just grabbed the line icon, and let's just get the borders over here. So we'll have the right bar. And the left bar. And you'll see I'm just sketching like I normally would. It just happens to be on top of that sketch. If we take a look at that, that has some 0 depth to it. It is essentially just a sketch. Now I'll just save that sketch for now. And I'll show you what I was talking about before. So since we had a sketch on top of those bars, when I go to actually select this geometry and when we get to SolidCAM, I'm not going to want to see the back image. I want to see the geometry that I'm trying to select. Well, since these are two separate sketches, I can just right-click, hide, and just see my sketches. Okay, so let's close this down, and let's see how what happens with that in the future. So that is a SolidWorks file. Inside that file, you'd be able to just essentially just go. Let's just open up my pre-sketched part. So here's the SolidCAM logo. Okay. And again, I've made this about a 5-inch in height logo. So I've freely sketched all over the icon there. This is just a regular SolidWorks sketch. I can go to Tools, SolidCAM, New, and choose what I'd like to do with this, either milling or turning, whatever I plan to do that. And I've actually completed this part. So I'll go to Recent CAM Parts, open up the part. You'll see that, again, when we define this, we only have 0 depth in terms of geometry. It's just the sketch. So in my coordinate system manager, when I created this sketch, I actually put some lines in the corner here so I can do my define by. So I just went to define, and I said origin, x-axis, y-axis, and then it pops up the z there, and there you can see we had a coordinate system. In terms of my stock, again, I don't have any surfaces to click on. I just have 2D geometry. I just did absolute coordinates, and I gave it the 5 inches in x, 5 inches in y. Z0 is at z plus 0, and I just gave it a depth of 1 inch. So I just kind of used the box definition to give me a box representation so I can sketch on, or I could engrave on. And then I just open up an engraving toolpath. And in terms of the geometry selection, I could go and choose my individual chains just like I normally would. But since this is all under one sketch, I could go to multi-chain add, CAD selection. If I expand the decision tree, I can take a look at my sketch for engraving sketch that I created. Click on that, resume, green check mark, and you'll see that it populates our chain list with all the chains that I sketched there. So everything on the outside there. If we take a look at that inside simulation, there's that 1-inch block 5x5 that I created in my stock definition. And if I play this through, we've engraved SolidCAM logo. Okay. So simple enough. You bring in the image, you sketch on top of the image, and that geometry, that sketch geometry, becomes what we're going to use in the toolpath. Any questions on this or anything else from SolidCAM, you can always call us at 1-866-975-1115, extension 2. Send us your parts and your questions via the ticket system at solidcamsupport.com, or stay tuned for the rest of the videos on the YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.